why I am still very bullish on this market despite the recent drop. I am talking about Bitcoin, which is the driver of this crypto market. If it pumps, very good for the altcoins, and if it dumps, very bad for the altcoins. For the past couple of days, it looked like Bitcoin was actually going to break through all-time highs, but right now we are not getting that smooth breakout. However, I am still very bullish on Bitcoin and up till the end of this year, and I'll explain to you guys why on the charts in just a second and why that affects your altcoin bags. I'm also going to be talking about a few altcoin setups in this video, which would include Mog Coin, the meme coin, Litecoin, and Terra Luna Classic. See what has gone on in these markets. What are some updated price targets and setups? I will also give you guys my experience as a guide to trading altcoins, and what are some things to be paying attention to, as well as things I think you guys need in your trading journey. Let's go ahead and dive into some major crypto news here first. I'll give you guys my instant reaction. All right, this is by News BTC. Bitcoin investor sentiment back to very bullish. What this means now, for headlines like these, it's very general, right? I like to read, when I read news, I'll read it with a very skeptical and critical mind because, of course, not everyone who says anything or trades is correct, right? Including myself, right? I like to read it with a very critical mind, and I usually have my own opinions on this market based on how I look at the charts. Now, this headline here, yeah, sounds very bullish. I think it's worth a read, especially if you guys are new to this market and you guys want to just get some concept down. But to me, it's all based on the chart that I am seeing, right? It doesn't really matter what people are saying, especially in news headlines. If you guys want to give it a read, definitely do it. It's in TradingView. Next one here is also by News BTC. No room for bears. Bitcoin bullish MACD. Okay. Monthly close fuel bullish outlook. Now, I have used the MACD before. It's not my preferred indicator, right? I like using the RSI, which is the relative strength index, which I can read a lot more effectively and I'm a lot more familiar with. But if you guys, look at the MACD and you guys have any insights on how that is looking based on what this headline is saying, make sure to drop a comment in the comment section below, showing us what you guys see and what your insights are. But on the monthly candle close here on the RSI, I just want to put that out there that it does have bearish divergence on the RSI, which usually indicates a pullback on the monthly time frame. That's a long pullback, okay? However, there has been exceptions where there has been monthly divergence, bearish divergence on the monthly time frame, and the bulls keep pushing through. If you guys know what I'm talking about, back in December 2020, both the stock market, the S&P 500, and Bitcoin just kept pushing through, and that was the hype of the bull market last cycle. So there is room for exceptions, of course, and currently I am betting on that exception. And of course, these are just my opinions and speculations, not financial advice. All right, next one here. This is by You Today, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, author. I hope Bitcoin crashes. I will buy more. Now, I am a little bit of a fan of Robert Kiyosaki. I think a lot of what he says makes sense. This is definitely bullish for Bitcoin. He has a bullish opinion on Bitcoin. And that's great to hear that he's on the side of crypto. Next piece here, this is by News BTC. Bitcoin near historic weekly close despite drop. analyst warns of volatile weekend. I do think it's going to be a volatile weekend because we're very much near all-time highs. And what this means for you as both Bitcoin holders and altcoin holders, especially, is that there's going to be a lot of volatility. There could be fake outs, right? That's what it means. That's part of what it means to expect volatility. Um, Unless Bitcoin get that very smooth push through above the all-time highs, I think it's going to be quite a bit of a volatile trading, especially with altcoins. Now, I own Bitcoin. I have Bitcoin. I have quite a bit of these altcoins here. I am long on these positions. So I am inherently bullish right now. Like I said, not financial advice. Of course, none of what I'm saying here is financial advice. You got to do your own due diligence, because you could have a bearish opinion on this market, and it could still make sense. Next one here is by News BTC. XRP's time is now, says pundit. Don't snooze on the biggest transfer of wealth. I think this is a bullish piece of news for XRP. I think if Bitcoin is gonna break through, it's gonna take a lot of these altcoins with it, including XRP. I have actually done a more detailed video on XRP. If you guys want to actually see it from yesterday, make sure to check that out. All right, let's come over here to Bitcoin. What am I talking about here, and why am I still bullish on Bitcoin? And of course, the driver of the crypto markets here. It's because if we actually take a look into the daily time frame, I talked about this falling wedge pattern. The breakout still valid. Okay, it is still trying to get more solid candle closes on the higher time frames. Okay, that is basically when the breakout is trying to establish itself above this pattern here. Now we did have what looks like a fake out here on the daily time frame, because we have, in my opinion, that was not a solid candle close on the daily time frame, and it broke back into the pattern. But that breakdown back into the pattern was also not exactly a solid candle close either. So it's definitely trying to break above this falling wedge pattern and establish itself on a higher time frame, including the daily time frame. Now it has established itself with some solid candle closes on a lower time frame. Of course, the hourly, the 2 hour, right, 3 hour. So you get my point, right? Now coming back to the hourly time frame, I see a breakout of a small pattern, a falling wedge pattern, which tends to break to the upside. Price target is going to be about 109.5k there. Okay, so if it actually gets back above 100, and this trend line here at about 108, mid 108, that's still going to be looking very good for Bitcoin. Of course, like I said, fake outs are part of the markets. Okay, I've seen many variations of the markets, quite a few variations of the markets since trading back in 2019. Okay, I would say it's been different almost every year, right? If you guys have been in here that long, you guys would know what I'm talking about. 2019, 2020, it was kind of, I would say I would relate it to this kind of markets. It's pretty choppy. 2020, like late 2020, 2021, very smooth, right? 2023 was also very choppy, just like what we're seeing here right now. 2023 was choppy until that bull market back in September, October 2023, and things got smooth for a while, right? If you guys remember that, up till about March 2024. And of course, March 2024, the rest of 2024 until now, pretty choppy. So I think patience is going to be very much needed in trading this market. Now, let's go ahead and come back here to Bitcoin here. Like I said, falling wedge pattern on the daily time frame still very much valid. Okay, I'll let you guys know if this pattern gets invalidated. But right now, still looking very much valid. Price target is going to be about just right underneath 120K here if we get that that actually clean move here, okay, on a higher time frame. Now, if we actually are able to get above the all-time highs, which was about, the resistance was about 110K here, and we establish ourselves with some solid, at least some solid daily candle closes, then we could be looking at a target of about 145K. That is basically the cup and handle pattern we have been in for the entirety of this year, and that's more noticeable on the weekly time frame, and that's going to be very good for the altcoins. Let's come back here and talk about some altcoins here. Okay, let's talk about Mog Coin. What's going on in this market since the last time we have looked at it? Not much has really changed. Okay, that's because still waiting on Bitcoin. Okay, however, let's just zoom out a little bit. Okay, zoom out. Weekly time frame broke out of here. Falling wedge pattern. Price target, it's about 0.00000. 5 zeros and 245. Still a valid price target. Now, price targets are estimates only. There could be more, there could be less, okay? Including some FOMO breakouts. Of course, that's going to give the altcoin more of, more above the price target, or fake outs, right? That could just invalidate the breakouts very shortly, okay? So weekly time frame, Mog Coin, it has actually broken on top of the weekly 21 SMA, which is very important. Moving averages above the price action is going to be resistance, and it looks like it has actually reclaimed this resistance, and now it is support. Okay, the blue line here. Let's take a look into the lower time frame and see if I can get any more clarity on what the price action could be doing. Okay, daily time frame. Falling wedge pattern. Still valid. It looked like it tried to actually break out a couple days ago with a wick and broke back into the pattern. This pattern is still valid because that was just a wick. And if it actually breaks out again with a solid breakout, the price target is going to be about 0.00000. So 5 zeros and 1 6. Okay, so that's still quite a bit of a move for Mog Coin if it breaks out by this point. If it doesn't break out by this point, then move the measurement along the upper trend line. So quite a bit of scenarios to consider. Fake out, of course, or if this pattern breaks down, then we can come back here to rechart what's going on with the price action. If enough of you guys want to see Mog Coin, make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe, letting me know you guys want to see any more of this coin. Let's take a look into Litecoin here. What's going on with this market? Okay, so this is going to be a very interesting chart. Weekly time frame. I pointed out a falling wedge pattern, huge falling wedge pattern. Okay. Now there was a break below the falling wedge pattern, but it went basically right back into the pattern there in this weekly time frame. Okay, and so that is still valid in my opinion. Now I'm gonna move this measure move down along this upper trend line here because it doesn't look like it's. I mean, probably it's not gonna break out by next week. I'm just gonna estimate. Okay. Price target is still right underneath $190. Litecoin. Now, falling wedges, again, usually break to the upside. It's a very common pattern you guys should spot. It's very simple and effective, okay? It looks like it's trying to work its way towards the middle of the pattern here. Quite a bit of resistance, as you guys can see. This is the weekly time frame, okay? You got your weekly 21, weekly 200, weekly 50 SMA, all above the price action. Daily time frame. Okay, daily time frame. Falling wedge, again, this one actually broke out, okay, a couple days ago, which is very good for altcoin. Price target out of the smaller one is going to be about just right above $100 here. Price target, I mean, price action went up to about $92 before getting rejected, but this breakout is still valid. So this is basically what I'm looking at for Litecoin in the shorter term and the longer term. Let's come over here to Terra Luna Classic, see what's going on in this market here. Just want to let you guys know that there has been a few patterns within these altcoins that I have invalidated because they either have broken out or have been invalidated. Okay, you guys can check my previous videos on what I said about these altcoins as well, so you guys can just get a better idea of what the update is. All right, let's come over here to Terra Luna Classic. What's going on in this coin here? Falling wedge pattern, weekly time frame. Okay, it's trying to work its way towards the middle of the pattern. Okay, weekly 21 SMA. It's gonna be a resistance. It hasn't gotten through that yet. That's about 0.000. I think that's 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 zeros. 4 zeros and 6, 2. That's your resistance, your weekly 21 SMA. If it could, I mean, that is the resistance right now. Of course, it could also come towards the bottom of the trend line here. Okay, that's going to be a pretty steep drop. Just gotta consider these scenarios, right? If I was trading this coin, I am not at this moment, but that's what goes through my mind when I'm trading a coin. I just gotta consider the scenarios, and I zoom into the charts and see if I can get a better probability of what could be going on. Daily time frame for Terra Luna Classic, okay, broke out of the smaller falling wedge pattern, okay. Price target is about 4 zeros and 72. Broke out. This breakout still valid because, as you guys can see, the price action with solid candle closes is still above the falling wedge pattern here. Okay, and it has actually formed another smaller falling wedge pattern and broke out of that. The smaller price target for the smallest falling wedge pattern that I'm seeing here is going to be about 4 zeros and 6, 2. You're going to see your daily moving averages coming in as resistance, including the 21, 50 SMA, daily 200 SMA. I would say very likely we'll get a rejection there before seeing what happens with Terra Luna Classic, just because with the steepness of the slope of the 200 SMA here. Okay, that's basically what I'm seeing for these altcoins and quite a bit of what's going on in the crypto markets right now. Let me know if you guys have any comments. Make sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe, letting me know you guys want to see any more of these coins or any other coins in the markets. I'll pick a request for you guys to do on a daily basis. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys on the next.